حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين نبينا محمد وآله وأصحابه أجمعين. فقد قال جل وعلا في كتابه المجيد فرقان الحميد بعد أن أقول أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ومن أعرض عن ذكري فإن له معيشة ضنكا ونحشره يوم القيامة أعمى. وقال تعالى قل يا عبادي الذين أسرفوا على أنفسهم لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله إن الله يغفر الذنوب جميعا إنه هو الغفور الرحيم. صدق الله العظيم. Honorable elders, respected brothers, mothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Living in the 21st century, in a time where we are experiencing such an advancement in technology, such an advancement in society, abundance in blessings, nourishment all around us. Yet despite all of these blessings from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to us, we are retrogressing and furthering away from Allah. We are neglecting and forgetting our responsibilities towards Allah. That which Allah has commanded us, we are neglecting and forgetting. The fastest growing religion in modern day times is not a particular religion. Rather, it is the concept of no religion. It is the expression of following one's own carnal desires, freedom to do as you wish, not being binded by a higher authority. And when an individual falls into this deep dark hole, their nafs, their desires, tend to lead them down a very destructive path. A path which has no end. A path which will never be satisfied. A path which will lead a person to do the most destructive things that will corrupt the soul. The importance of faith and religion in a person's life is so important, yet we sometimes forget how important it is. And there are a few points which I wish to share today. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the opening verse which I recited before you, Allah goes on to mention in Surah Taha, verse number 124, Allah goes on to say, وَمَنْ أَعْرَضَ عَنْ ذِكْرِي فَإِنَّ لَهُ مَعِيشَةً ضَنْكًا وَنَحْشُرُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ أَعْمَى. What does Allah go on to say? He goes on to say that as for the individual who turns away from my message, meaning from the message, the commandments, the prohibitions which Allah has sent down to us. As for the person who turns away from my message, meaning the message of Allah, he shall have a straitened life, a life filled with difficulty and hardship. And we shall raise him blind on the day of judgment. Such a person, when he forgets Allah, Allah will bring about difficulties into a person's life. Not only difficulties, He will resurrect this person blind on the day of judgment. Blind to the mercy of Allah. Blind to the kindness of Allah. Notice and understand that when Allah tells us to turn back to Him and worship Him and follow His commandments, He is not telling us that by becoming a better Muslim, by becoming a man or a woman of faith, that you will not have a life filled with You will not have a life with any problems. Rather, you will still have problems. But despite those problems, there will be a certain contentment, a certain satisfaction, a certain ease that you will experience in your heart. Knowing that Allah is the one guiding your life. Knowing that Allah is the one who is sitting in the driver's seat for your life. Think to yourself, but how is it that you sit on a plane, not knowing who the pilot is, yet you are able to sit in comfort and ease, knowing that the pilot will do his job and will do his role and not crash this plane or do something which will cause harm? But you are able to sit there for hours upon hours, content and at ease. So you're able to trust the judgment, the skill, the knowledge of a mere mortal, a mere human being. But you are not satisfied. You are not content. You are not at ease, knowing that the creator of all of universe, the one who has created you and I, the one who knows you and I better than ourselves, when he is in control of our life, he is the one guiding our life, he is the one that is in the driver's seat of our life. We cannot sit in contentment knowing that fact. And yet we are able to sit there and complain when a trial comes into our life, when a hardship comes into our life. Because how do you know that that turbulence that you are experiencing in reality is protecting you from a downfall in the future? Think to yourself. When we connect back with Allah, there are a few benefits, a few things which happen. Number one, when an individual starts to become more faithful, starts to become more closer in his deen, faith, number one, faith will promote psychological sanity. Faith and conviction and belief in Allah and your connection to Allah will promote psychological sanity. What does that mean? Every single one of us will go through hardship. This is in itself a reality. But when going through that hardship, you will be at ease knowing that Allah knows what is best for you. And when Allah knows what is best for you, even in the apparent of the short term, it may seem difficult. Just know that in the long term, there is some hikmah, some wisdom Allah has for you. And the psychological sanity is that you are able to understand and know that there is a greater purpose for everything that takes place. And you are able to be at ease knowing that Allah is in control of everything. Number two, faith in our deen and our religion gives meaning to our lives. Every single one of us, when countries do a consensus, they single out each and every single one of us to a digit. Canada has 40 million people. America has 300 million people. Japan has this many people. And so on and so forth. Every country, they start to list out the population. You are singled out as a digit. But in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the life of each and every single one of you is valued. The actions that you do, the sincerity with which you do those actions is valued. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves each and every single one of us. But we must show our love back to Allah. And by showing our love is fulfilling the commandments and refraining from that which He has made prohibited for us. Moving on. Number three, faith in our deen and our religion allows us to cope with negativity, stress, and burdens of our lives. Think to yourself, when life was good, when things are going smooth, business is doing well, family is healthy, there's no struggle in your life. That's the time when shaitan pulls you and drags you away from Allah. But boom, when something difficult takes place, a hardship comes into your life, that is when you turn back to Allah. Let us not forget and neglect Allah in times of our happiness and goodness, so Allah does not neglect and forget us in times of our stress. It's a simple reality. Easy to say, hard to do. First and foremost, this entire khutbah is first and foremost directed to myself. As a reminder for myself, that let us not forget Allah in times of happiness and goodness, so that in times of sorrow and sadness, Allah does not neglect and forget us. Moving forth. Number 4, faith in this deen and religion gives us a broader family beyond our own biological families. In Surah Al-Hujurat, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala goes on to say, إِنَّمَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ إِخْوَةٌ, that verily all of the believers are brothers, not brothers bonded or connected through the bond of blood, but connected and united through the bond of the kalima La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. It gives us a broader family that we can connect to, that we can lean on to. We can build connections with, friendships with. Moving forward, number 5, faith gives us history and faith gives us identity. When we look back into our Islamic history, think just even for our own selves. If we weren't the ones, if we were born in a Muslim family, that means we weren't the ones that made a decision to be Muslims. Somebody in our lineage from our forefathers were the initial ones to convert from whatever they were to accepting the noble religion of Islam. And there may be many brothers and sisters in this very noble gathering of ours, on this blessed day of Jumaah, who made themselves be reverts, meaning they were the ones who made the conscious decision to accept and embrace Islam. And sometimes we fall into this misconception or notion that Muslims all go to heaven. None of us, understand this point, none of us are guaranteed Jannah on a silver platter. Just because we were born Muslim, yes, gives us a higher probability to enter paradise, but none of us are guaranteed paradise. Each and every single one of us, despite being born in a Muslim household, still must find our connection with Allah, still must find our religion, still must search and yearn for our faith and connection with Allah. We must not water our faith and religion down to cultural norms and customs. Yeah, my family celebrates Eid, so I just do it. Yeah, in Ramadan, it's a nice time for us to feast, so I just do it. Yeah, I just go. That's not what it is. It's not just a mere set of rituals that you just come into. I do it because I have. No, you must have a conscious awareness of why you're doing it. Who are you doing it for? What is your ultimate purpose and goal? Why are you sitting here on this Friday of Jumaah? It's not because, my family's been doing it since I was born, so I just do it. That's not an answer. That's not an answer. You must look deep within yourself and see, what did you do to find your faith? What did you do to connect back to Allah? And when I say you, I'm referring to myself as well. What did we do to find Allah? What did we do to seek out this religion? What did we do to learn about this religion? What did we do to make Allah happy? Moving forward, faith, last and final point, faith in this religion and in this beautiful, noble religion of Islam transcends nationality, transcends tribalism, transcends languages, transcends any country, culture, or background. Look around you. Look to your left or your right, ahead of you or behind you. You have brothers and sisters from all across the globe, united, not by any nationality, not by any language, not by any family connection or history, bonded and connected under the banner of piety. Every single one of us sitting here today is connected and united under the banner of piety, under the banner of making Allah happy, under the banner of the aspirations of making Allah happy and eventually being admitted into paradise. That is what connects us. That is what is beyond any connection that you have. When an individual comes to the realization that life is not just worth living for the sake of eating, drinking, and fulfilling my carnal desires, it is worth living because there is an ultimate purpose. And you know what? Let's make it more pragmatic. Every single one of us intrinsically is biological. If I ask you to do some work, or I ask you to invest into something, whether it's real estate, stocks, crypto, whatever it is, and I ask you to put something forward, the first question or the first thing you will respond to me with, what's my ROI? What is my return on investment? That's not something that's inherently bad. It is just something that is intrinsic and biological. You accept it for what it is as human nature. The first thing you will ask is, what do I get out of it? If I work 8 hours, what do I get? If I work for you for a month, what do I get? If I invest this much money here, what do I get? What's my ROI? I'll tell you what your ROI is. I'll tell you what your ROI is. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us. He tells us in Surah Kahf, verse number 30. He goes on to tell us in verse number 30, he goes on to tell us, now this is what your ROI is. And these two verses, I'll bring the discussion to a close. Allah goes on to say, إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات إنا لا نضيع أجر من أحسن عملا. He tells us that as for the individual, as for those, إن الذين آمنوا, first condition, as for those who believe, first condition. Number two, إن الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات, and they do good deeds, they do righteous acts. إنا لا نضيع أجر من أحسن عملا. Allah goes on to say that we do not waste the reward of those who are good in their deeds. Those individuals who do good deeds, just because you're alone and doing a good deed doesn't mean nobody sees it. Just because nobody's around you or it's not being posted on social media doesn't mean it's not being seen. Allah sees that. If you're walking on the road or sidewalk and there's something that could cause harm to somebody, you remove it. There's no cameras, there's no TMZ there to take snap pictures and post it somewhere. But still, Allah knows that you have done that good deed. You have saved somebody from a harm. Allah does not waste that good deed that you do. Allah sees it. Then Allah goes on to say in the following verse, right after this verse, He goes on to say, now here is the good part. This is the part that we all come and we all want to know, what is our ROI? If I do all the good deeds that Allah has asked me to do, if I refrain from the bad deeds, I follow the Prophet, what is my ROI? Allah is telling you what your ROI is. It's not me telling you, Allah is telling us in Surah Al-Kahf, verse number 31, He goes on to say, أولئك لهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتهم الأنهار يحلون فيها من أساور من ذهب ويلبسون ثيابا خضرا من سندس واستبرق متكئين فيها على الأرائك نعم الثواب وحسنت مرتفقا. This is the ROI. This is what each and every single one of us comes on our Fridays. This is what each and every single one of us wants when we are standing up at the time of Fajr, when we don't want to stand up. It's difficult to get out of our beds and get ourselves to pray, but we still do it because we know this ROI is awaiting us. What's the ROI? Allah goes on to say in verse 31 of Surah Al-Kahf, He goes on to say, أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ, these are the individuals. Again, the two conditions were already mentioned. The two conditions were إِنَّ الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, those who believe, وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, who did righteous deeds. Allah is telling us, for those individuals, أُولَٰئِكَ لَهُمْ, for such individuals, لهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتهم الأنهار. For such individuals will be eternal blissful gardens in the afterlife, underneath which there will be rivers of it, paradise flowing. لهم جنات عدن تجري من تحتهم الأنهار يحلون فيها من أساور من ذهب. They will be adorned therein. They will have those gardens in paradise through which the rivers will be flowing, and those individuals will be adorned with bracelets made of gold. وَيَلْبَسُونَ ثِيَابًا خُضْرًا مِنْ سُنْدُسٍ, meaning that they will be adorned not only with bracelets of gold, you will be wearing green garments of Jannah, beautiful green garments of Jannah. وَإِسْتَبَرَقٍ مُتَّكِئِينَ فِيهَا عَلَى الْأَرَائِكِ, and such individuals will be reclining on couches and thrones in Jannah. نعم الثواب. Excellent is the reward. وحسنت مرتفقة. And beautiful is paradise as a resting place, as a final abode. And all of this which Allah is promising you, it's not something which will cease to exist after 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, 110, however many years you live. Doesn't matter. Whatever you have in this world will cease to exist. But whatever Allah gives you in the afterlife, it will never come to an end. It will be everlasting. خالدين فيها أبدا. Last and final point, I bring the discussion to a close. When we make an investment in this world, whether it's with our time or it's with our money, let's take money for an example. You make an investment. No investment is inherently risk-free. There is always a risk that you know. You know that when you place a principal in an investment, the ROI can be multiple X's. You can make 2X, 3X, 4X, however many X's on your money. But you also realize that there is a possibility and risk that you could lose your principal. Despite knowing the risk that you can lose your principal, you still make the investment. Why? Because of outsized returns. So does it not make sense for you that you sacrifice a mere 50, 60, 70, 80, 100 years of your life for an outsized return in the hereafter? To me, it seems like an undeniable offer. It's literally an undeniable offer. Allah is telling you that you continue to live your life. You live within the parameters which I have laid out for you. You follow that which I have asked you to do. Refrain from that which I have told you not to do. Stay away from the evil. Do good. Enjoy in the things which I have made lawful for you. Then you will be given eternal bliss. It's easy to say, hard to do. But think about it. We are putting a principle of a mere few years of our lives, but getting something of outsized returns of that is everlasting. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the true understanding. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from being of individuals that have no religion. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to keep us steadfast on this noble religion and the noble kalim of La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it such that when the time comes for us to leave this world, we leave this world in a manner in which the last words that come out of our tongues are La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. And we leave this world in a manner that we came where we were crying and everybody around us was smiling and laughing and joyous. But we leave this world in a manner in which we are smiling, we are happy because we are going back to our Creator, and everybody around us is crying because they know that you have left this world. May Allah forgive us, for He is the Ghafoor and He is the Rahman. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alleviate and remove the hardships and the pain of all of those of our Muslim brothers and sisters all across the globe. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to see the truth and follow the truth and stay on the straight path. Ameen, ameen, ameen. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونؤمن به ونتوكل عليه ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له ونشهد أن سيدنا ونبينا ومولانا محمد عبده ورسوله أرسله بالحق بشيرا ونذيرا بين يدي الساعة من يطيع الله ورسوله فقد رشد ومن يعصهما فإنه لا يضر إلا نفسه ولا يضر الله شيئا. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أرحم أمتي بأمتي أبو بكر وأشهدهم في أمن الله عمر وأصدقهم حياء عثمان وأقضاهم علي وفاطمة سيدة نساء أهل الجنة والحسن والحسين سيدا شباب أهل الجنة وحمزة أسد الله وأسد رسوله رضوان الله تعالى عليهم أجمعين. اللهم اغفر للعباس وولده مغفرة ظاهرة وباطنة لا تغادر ذنبا. الله في أصحابي لا تتخذهم غرضا من بعدي فمن أحبهم فبحبي أحبهم ومن أبغضهم فببغضي أبغضهم وخير أمتي قرني ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم. اللهم أعز الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام الإسلام والمسلمين. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين في كل مكان، واغفر اللهم لجميع المؤمنين والمسلمات والمؤمنين والمؤمنات الأحياء منهم والأموات برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. والحمد لله رب العالمين. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. فاذكروني أذكركم واشكروا لي ولا تكفرون. أقم الصلاة.
الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله أشهد أن محمد رسول الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله.
Please make sure all of your rows are filled in. There are no gaps between individuals, and all cell phones are switched off. Jazakumullah. Allahu Akbar. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. آمين. لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض، وإن تبدوا ما في أنفسكم أو تخفوه يحاسبكم به الله فيغفر لمن يشاء ويعذب من يشاء، والله على كل شيء قدير. آمن الرسول بما أنزل إليه من ربه والمؤمنون كل آمن بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسله لا نفرق بين أحد من رسله وقالوا سمعنا وأطعنا غفرانك ربنا وإليك المصير. لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها لها ما كسبت وعليها ما اكتسبت. ربنا لا تؤاخذنا إن نسينا أو أخطأنا. ربنا ولا تحمل علينا إصرا كما حملته على الذين من قبلنا. ربنا ولا تحملنا ما لا طاقة لنا به واعف عنا واغفر لنا وارحمنا أنت مولانا أنت مولانا فانصرنا على القوم الكافرين. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين آمين. لقد صدق الله رسوله الرؤيا بالحق. لقد صدق الله رسوله الرؤيا بالحق لتدخلن المسجد الحرام إن شاء الله آمنين. إن شاء الله آمنين محلقين رؤوسكم ومقصرين لا تخافون فعلم ما لم تعلموا فجعل من دون ذلك فتحا قريبا. هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا. محمد رسول الله. محمد رسول الله والذين معه أشداء على الكفار رحماء بينهم تراهم ركعا سجدا يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانا سيماهم في وجوههم من أثر السجود ذلك مثلهم في التوراة ومثلهم في الإنجيل كزرع أخرج شطأه فآزره فاستغلظ فاستوى على سوقه يعجب الزراع ليغيظ بهم الكفار وعد الله الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات منهم مغفرة وأجرا عظيما. الله سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر السلام عليكم ورحمة الله السلام عليكم ورحمة الله Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Just a kind few announcements before the brothers leave. First and foremost is, as the brothers are exiting, kindly please donate generously for the upkeep of the masjid and for all the different costs that we have and the pledges that the brothers have made. Kindly fulfill those pledges. Jazakumullah. Number two, inshallah, we will have our weekly program that we have with Shaykh Kamil, the weekly Seerah program. It will commence at 8 p.m. All the way until Maghrib time, inshallah. So inshallah, it will commence at 8 p.m. all the way until Maghrib Salah. And number three, we have, alhamdulillah, an amazing weekend program running on for kids. So inshallah, you can get more information from the brothers in the office on how to enroll your children and partake in the classes, inshallah. And last announcement is there is the MAC convention going to take place. And alhamdulillah, through the partnership of our masjid with them, inshallah, whoever wishes to attend this convention, the tickets will be sold for 50% cheaper by our masjid. So inshallah, if you would like to purchase tickets, you can purchase them in the office by the brothers, inshallah. Jazakumullah khairan.